Thanks for coming out and watching the oxymoronic Reddit Professional Show, where I showcase the best and worst of the internet. Here I comment on brilliant and hilarious comment chains regarding dumb shit on the internet for you to enjoy. Make sure to subscribe, hit the little bell button so that you get notifications every time we come up with a new video. Enjoy this week's show. Lawyers of Reddit, what is the most badass I rest my case moment you've ever witnessed? My mom was a personal injury solicitor, and she was basically trying to prove that the car that hit her client and caused life-changing injuries, brain damage, belonged to X. X at first pretends not to live where he does, then the car is found abandoned, all wiped down. The trail seems to end. Then, my mom has a hunch and checks X's Facebook. He had a public profile, and his profile picture was his standing next to the car in question. She screenshots them and sends them to the opposing counsel with a slightly more politely worded, "Your client's a dumb fuck." She's retired now, but she considers it to be one of the most satisfying moments of her career. Needless to say, she won the case, and her client got a £1 million settlement and is now living in Spain. All for the want of a simple privacy setting and a touch of common sense. My friend was suing a private security company for assault. He explained that one of the security guards also threatened him with a gun. Security company's lawyer responds that my friend must be lying. The guards do not carry guns, because they are not allowed. This is all written in the legal paperwork back and forth. My friend finds the Facebook profile of one of the security guards who threatened him. His profile picture is him doing a thug pose with a Glock. My friend, Pro C, emails this to opposing counsel with a note that says, FYI, security company agrees to settle out of court and pay my friend. Not a lawyer, but just had a case where a guy embezzled, then sued us. He had done it by moving money to his company and calling it intercompany loans. His expert witness, who was a CPA, was asked about their one document they had produced, and she said, as you can see, this document shows that embezzling plaintiff owes your company $650,000. We had no questions and rested right there. He should have probably gotten his CPA on the same page with him. I was a night auditor for some time, overnight manager plus do the books. I handled bookkeeping for 2 hotels plus restaurant, then they added a gift shop. At some point, all the cash for the gift shop disappeared from the safe. After some fracas, it turned out the new general manager had taken it all because it was mismanaged and we weren't even tracking it. I either emailed someone at corporate or mentioned briefly that wasn't the case. Next thing I knew, I was asked if I could come in during the day to meet executives who had come to town overnight. They asked if I could walk them through how I was keeping track of the money, whether I had it written down or in some spreadsheet or something. So I showed them the software package I had written, being bored at night, which implemented multiple currency double entry accounting with auditable journals plus functions to track inventory, ordering, shrink, cash flow, etc. My current interest at the time was learning WX Windows, so the user interface was pretty slick. Eyebrows went up. I think I mentioned I unfortunately didn't have it fully doing LCM for the inventory yet or something, which got a quickly suppressed chuckle. They asked why the GM didn't like it, which I could only answer with, she never asked. Apparently a month of wrangling ensued while they tried to get the money from her. Turns out she had put in a blank account under her name only, not the company, to safeguard it. She told corporate she didn't feel comfortable it would be managed right if she gave them or anyone else access. Eventually they did get the money, and sometime later we had a new general manager. Not a lawyer, but I read about this. 2 guys were being tried for robbing a gas station. A customer who saw the robbery is now on the witness stand. The prosecutor asked him to describe what he saw. He said that he saw 2 guys robbing the store and then running out, and one of them bumped into him. Then the prosecutor looked at the 2 perps and said, "Are those 2 men in the courtroom today?" At which point the 2 idiots raised their hands. Case closed. Edit grammar. One of my top posts ever is relevant here. For a while, my mother dated a man who really liked to act like a big shot. He was a guy that claimed to know a guy wherever you went. Anytime you wanted something, he would say, "Oh wait, let's go to store name, I'll talk to owner and get you a deal." Nearly every time he did, the owner seemed like he wasn't entirely sure who this guy was. He would do shit like insist on taking the whole family on a vacation, or take everyone to a fancy restaurant, or he would show up with expensive gifts out of the blue, shit like new electronics or guitars. Eventually, the relationship ends, but not long after we find out he's taking us to court because we owe him money. Court day comes, he presents his case first. He goes through a huge itemized list of every item he ever bought us. Every single item, from a vending machine Coke to a new sink because he broke the old one. Even a birthday cake bought for the youngest child. Once he's done, the judge asks if there was an agreement to be paid back for any of that. He says it was just an understanding. The judge asks specifically if he ever said he wanted to be paid back. He says no, that usually when someone someone buys you something, you pay them back. The judge then explained that no, in fact, that's not usually how gifts work, and that by his own admission, there was never an expectation to pay for anything. So after his own testimony, the case was closed. He then appealed. Again, he presented his testimony first, again, closed by his own words. A little late, but this is one of my dad's favorite stories. So he is out of state on business, driving through some no-name town when he goes through an intersection. Suddenly a cop pulls him over, stating that he ran a stop sign and ticketed him. My dad insists there was not any stop sign, but the cop did not listen. Pissed, he went back to the intersection and saw that there was a stop sign hidden behind a tree and twisted in the wrong direction. Even more pissed, he went to a convenience store that was in sight of the intersection and bought a disposable camera, while the clerk laughed because he saw what happened and knew what's up. Luckily, my dad had to be back there in a few weeks for work. The cop assumed that someone with out-of-state plates would just pay the ticket, and they were shocked when my dad turned up in court, calmly presented his evidence to the judge, and strolled out in 5 minutes scot-free. Working as a paralegal. Divorce case, hired by wife. Husband insists he never had an affair with their female friend. Days later, paralegal in charge asked me to show paralegal intern how to do property search. Last address in mind is the possible mistress. Type in address, look at deed, get parcel, even get a satellite photo. This is important. I print up satellite photo. Attorneys meet. Our boss L asks, Mr. Husband, you insist you never had an affair with Miss Woman, correct? H, that's correct. L, did you ever go to her house for anything? H, no. I can't remember where she lives. L, So between the dates of blah and blah, you never visited her residence? H, annoyed, no, never. L, what vehicle do you drive? H, Ford, something big like F-350. L, what color? H, white. L, anything in that truck bed? H, toolbox. L, silver, the kind that's bolted in place? H, yeah. L, do your truck and toolbox look anything like the ones at Miss Woman's house in this satellite photo taken on such and such date? H, shit. Wasn't my case, but in criminal docket court one morning, the accused wore a pair of very unique custom-made red cowboy boots, stolen from the house he was accused of robbing. Wore them to court to plead not guilty. The prosecutor was laughing. Same thing happened to my future husband. He was called as a witness against the guy accused of breaking into his apartment. He stole clothes, stereos, TV, etc. So he's up on the stand, and the guy's lawyer asks him why he believes this man was the person that broke into his apartment. Well, he's wearing my jacket. Everybody laughs. My future hubby says, no, really, it's my jacket. It has my name written on the tag. Turns out the guy is wearing the stolen jacket that my husband had been given as a safety award at his work. It had his company's logo on it and safety slogan. There were about 20 guys on the crew that won them, and the office gal had written their last names on the tag when she handed them out. Judge asks bailiff to check the tag. Bailiff has the guy stand up and then looks at tag. Says, yes, judge, it has the witness's last name written on the tag. Case closed. Guy changed his plea to guilty. Husband got some clothes back, but that was it. Nothing else. I used to work in baby daddy court as a caseworker. This guy kept telling me, the mother of the child, anyone who would listen, the baby wasn't his. When they went before the judge confirmed through DNA testing that he wasn't the dad. Dude turned around and took off his jacket. His shirt said, not the father. Edit, the guy kept telling me, the mother of the child, and anyone who would listen. My bad. I got a violation put against my name for land I didn't own. It was the land next to mine owned by the city. I took pictures of how the violation was posted on the city's land, how the city's land was in violation of grass height laws, its orientation to my land, how the violation did not have my lot's number but the city's lot's number, and brought the posted violation to court with me. Got up to the stand, explained myself, and presented my pictures. The inspector who wrote the violation stood and called me by a name that wasn't mine, and then showed pictures of a busted up car with a bunch of weeds on it I had never seen before. The judge raised her eyebrow and asked what address this was. He said an address that was across town from mine. I say that I also do not own that land. She removes the fines. Case dismissed. My wife and not me. It was during sentencing. Mr. Defendant, local gang boss, you stated you are not and have never been in a gang. That's correct. Do you have any tattoos? Yeah, I have a tiger on my calf and one on my chest that says GD for life. What does GD stand for? Gangster Disciples? But, no further questions, Your Honor. Fraud trial. Prosecution QC gets right to the point, pretty much third question to defendant. So you earn £45,000 a year, have no properties, no other source of income, no inheritance, and as far as I'm aware have not won the lottery. Yet you have foreign bank accounts with X million pounds and a Ferrari. It must simply be a coincidence that defrauded entity has an accounting black hole pretty much equal to those riches. The defendant pretty much gave up at that point. Was on a jury. Defendant attempted to rob a tip jar from a barista, and the barista fought back. He ran, and she tossed the empty jar towards him. Defendant claims that he was hit on the head and injured by the metal tip jar. Even though we'd already watched the video and I already caught this detail, the prosecutor asked to play the video of the robbery again. And then she says, how could the barista have hit him in the front of the head when she was throwing it from behind? And he's wearing a hat. She was so annoyed she had to point that out. I almost laughed. I was in an accident a few years ago, other guy's fault. He got a ticket for unsafe left turn, and I got a ticket because I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. In the section on the ticket, the cop inadvertently wrote, "Did wear seatbelt while operating motor vehicle." When I got to court, the judge asked how I wanted to plead. I asked the judge if I could ask a question first, and he said, "Sure." I stated, "The ticket says I did wear my seatbelt while operating motor vehicle, and if that's the case, I want to plead guilty." The judge looks down at the ticket and looks back at me and says, "Case dismissed. Have a good day." I did. If you enjoyed this week's effective way to waste time, hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. If you are enjoying the series, leave me a comment below. A special shout out to the content creators. You frickin' rock.